just want to quickly comment, the new person at ESD, Morgan, I forget her last name. She is amazing. They're so
good.
lucky to have her.
Wow.
So things, I see Joanna nodding. So things are speeding along with our payments, and it's all to do with the finance department, and she's trying to figure it out. So it looks,
What's her name? I haven't come across
Morgan.
her.
Have her contact
Morgan
information,
Clark.
Bianchi?
What?
Do you have her
Morgan Clark.
contact info? Because I want to make sure my team is, sorry, I talked over top of you guys.
Yeah, Morgan, let me just.
Morgan
see.
Clark.
Yeah, she is very excellent. Oh my God, we had an issue and she set up a Zoom call and was talking to us and explaining everything. And I was like, oh my God, like nobody at EST has ever done that before.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, that's a step in the right direction.
Giovanna or Yankee, can you send us all of them?
I'm gonna share her
Her email, because I want to make sure we're not barking up the wrong tree.
Right.
You know?
And I feel like we have unfortunately a report that's going to come due, since we were in the early recipients, and the money came so much later that there's no way we're going to be able to hit some of those targets. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever you're having a good conversation with Morgan, it would be wonderful to find out if there's going to be another 25 million, if there's going to be another $5 million released this year. We still haven't had a request for applications or anything.
The budget is such I want to use my term again. It is such a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
There's $400 million and I don't know what for housing.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
But remember, Ray said that this project, this particular pool of money, was not coming out of the budget. It's some other source. Now, that being said, one of the bills that I was watching last year that I was a little concerned about has moved through both houses. It's been approved and it's now on the governor's desk waiting approval. It was for a survey, a study of underbanked people in New York State. So my concern, because Ray's whole thing was, oh, this is the underbanked fund. I'm like, yeah, no, not really. That's not what it was supposed to be. But my concern is that, this is somehow going to be coupled to this survey of the underbanked. So I'll send around
You're really excited about surveys, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. So I'll send around the link to the legislation just so that you all know, where it is, because I do think we should keep an eye on it and, be mindful of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the other thing I just wanted to bring up, Colleen, is, there were a number of people from CFPB. They called and they were, very, very, they're all like really young and energetic and, like half my age, experiencing that more and more, but really nice. And they said, look, we want to be more in touch with what, CDFIs and others are doing in the community and be more responsive. So I said, look, instead of talking to someone like me one-on-one, I said, why don't you come and
Absolutely.
At the CDFI coalition.
Yep.
They're very eager. And they
great.
said they will also do like a quick training on how we can file complaints.
Oh, perfect.
And I said, well, if you have a video, I said, even better, then we can keep using it with our clients and, put it on our website. So I will, send them an email and copy you.
That's great.
But very,
It
very.
reminds me, and I apologize if this came up early, but the issue of, asking for $3 billion for this year's CDFI fund, I think the coalition should just weigh in. We don't need to, we do our advocacy through CDBA, other people do OFN, but why don't we do our own? We have good relations with the New York state reps, and we could all hit ours.
I think the last time we talked about this, I was waiting for like a letter outline, I think from Jesse. I know everybody's busy, but it would, because you all are in the trenches, it would be really helpful. You don't have to write anything elaborate. Give me a couple of bullet points. This is what we're looking for. This is why we need it. And then I can put all the fancy language around it and get it into the right hands.
Great. I'll send you the template that we got from the Trade Association.
Perfect.
For CDFI banks, and it's got.
That's great. That'd be
I'm
really
sure
helpful.
it's all very similar.
Perfect.
Sometimes housing and CDFIs gets a little left out. So the only request I would have is that we talk about the impact to affordable housing if we don't already.
Yeah, I think that's really important because the focus has been so profoundly on small business.
Yeah. The big win that I think we got with the SD was when we thought about the the HDFCs as small businesses, right?
Yeah.
Serving a community, kind of a cooperative model in all manner. So I really like that pitch. So if I'm happy to help.
That'd be great. Yeah, please
Put
add
those words
add
in
to it.
after you guys get it framed out.
Okay, why don't I do this? When Melanie sends me the template, what I'll do is I'll create a Google Doc and share it with everyone so that you all can make additions, subtractions, whatever you want to do. And I'll share it with the board that way. Okay,
Great.
perfect.
Oh.
Thank you for that.
I'll run it past we've been having some really great connections at the federal level around this budget issue. And around with Schumer and and with the return of the earmarks and stuff.
Yep.
So
Yes, member items. I was going to
Yep.
bring that up.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I'll run it past.
big opportunity.
That'd be
Yeah.
great. Okay, speaking back to having someone present, to us, I think that's the model that we're going to keep going with. I mean, when I had my conversation with Linda last week, I just think it's too sketchy. I mean, COVID is literally rampant in the New York State Capitol right now. So I don't see us gathering in person this calendar year. I just really don't. So what I did was I reached out to all of our CRA sponsors from years past and just said, yeah, we're going to continue to offer these webinars and, the newsletter and the website and as a clearinghouse of information, in service to the field. So everybody's been pretty receptive to that. So I've got a meeting with Dan Delahanty next week. And so I'll just continue working my way down the list. But the last year we brought in 33,000 in sponsorships, and this year I budgeted 45,000. So, it's ambitious, but, we'll give it a shot.
Did we get any money from Signature for the coalition?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because
I can double check.
Yeah, Melanie, I don't know if you remember Joan Bartholomew. Now she's in charge. Remember the guy who was there before her?
Is she
Michael?
in charge now? That's good.
Yeah, that's what I
What's the
saw.
guy's
So I
name?
sent her an email congratulating her. It's not, they don't give huge amounts, but
Right.
it was obvious.
I'll
She had,
deposit. So I
if she-
have a CRA support group. I mean, these people have much more CRA worries than we do, but so she just sent out, it's good timing. She just sent out an email to the group that most of what they do, Karen, is LIHTC.
Yeah. It's interesting. We're looking at a LIHTC, I don't know. Every time I say this, it feels like it's farther away than I want it to be, but we're looking at building rental housing and converting it over 15 years. So we want to build with that LIHTC piece because that provides funding that we don't have access to. And so we're trying to draft a model that would have us build a rental building with the long-term plan of in 15 years, converting it to an HDFC cooperative. It happens, but I don't know that anybody's doing it by using the LIHTC funds.
Yeah, Melanie,
don't know,
I can send you a link. Melanie, I can send you a link. We did that in Wisconsin for single family housing. That is, we did scattered site with, LIHTC for 15 years and then had it convert to home ownership.
Farshad, we need to have a virtual coffee. You are just a veritable treasure trove. of-
Yes,
No,
so much
no.
information.
I'm like
Yeah.
a tax credit idiot savant. It's all I know.
That is so awesome. I'm going to follow up with you because you've said several times, you've said things that I'm just like, wow, I need your help.
Yeah, but Melanie, that's an excellent idea. And
No, that's Karen. That's Karen, not me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm Karen.
Karen, it would be great too if we have, I think Sadie now on the HFA board to advocate for changing the QAP to encourage more of these things. One of the challenges that we would have with this model of converting to housing is that the HFA right now has a 50-year affordability requirement, that essentially a land use restriction agreement. And so we'd have to get them to waive that. And I've heard that that's been very, very difficult to do. I was actually up in Syracuse, Colleen, up in upstate, talking with, there was a wonderful group that some of you probably know, Housing Visions.
I was at their 30th anniversary on Wednesday
Were
night.
you really?
Yeah, I saw CCNY as one of the sponsors. Yeah.
Yes, but oh man, I would have loved to meet you. I was there with my team. No.
Oh, you were there?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
no way. I was there.
I was sitting, I got to sit with the board chair.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. I was talking to Ben towards the end of the night, but you must have already left.
Oh, really?
God's
Yeah,
sake.
oh my God.
I was there with Greg from the Leviticus Fund, because I work part-time for Leviticus in addition to doing
Greg
this.
was there? I
Yeah.
didn't see him.
Yep. Hey, it's the first time.
So weird. We're coming off of Zoom and now everybody's like, wait, what? You were in the same room?
I know. And Greg's like, what? You have legs? You know?
Yeah.
Well,
group of my
Colleen,
friends, by the
anytime I
way, my
come
friends
close
did
to
a thing
Albany
in-
now, I'm gonna just let you know. So-
That's cool.
Okay.
Friends of mine did a meet and greet in person, and they all showed up, dressed from the waist up. With yoga pants on and pajama bottoms. The images were hysterical. Their company is just they're so great. They all
That's
showed
awesome.
up as a poke at the CEO who was pulling them back in.
Nice.
Into the office. So they all showed up in their pajama bottoms. I thought that was so hysterical.
That is great.
That's great.
So I don't know about anybody else, but I am at the end of this, whatever this is, I am burning every sweater I have worn every day for the last 2 years.
It's funny. I'm thinking about getting rid of all of my slacks that aren't tights or yoga pants. Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm keeping the sweaters and getting rid of the pleated pants and the.
I actually, when I went to this event on Wednesday night, number one, it's the first time I've been on a train in 2.5 years.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I'll disclose, I went to the ladies' room during the reception and I was trying to pull my pants down, not realizing that they had a button and a zipper. I think I just haven't done that in so long.
Yeah, it's like,
What is this?
Yeah.
It's funny. I just want to throw on top of everything to go back to the conference for a moment.
Yeah.
So our CDBA, which is the Community Development Bankers Association, is going live in
Okay.
June, just to put that out there. On the other hand, if our sponsors are just as happy not to have to travel and show up.
Yeah. And I do think there's a benefit, knowing how busy I know that people love to get together and have a glass of wine and do all the things. I totally get it. And there's a great value to that. But I truly believe that given how busy you all are, that maybe, the every other month all hands and these occasional speakers who come in, I think
agree.
that's valuable too, for super busy people.
Yeah. Also, during the summer, if things get a little bit better and all, we all need a vacation. We all need to, definitely travel and go somewhere else. And
Cicely, May 20th.
May 9th. May
Yeah.
9th. May
Where are you
9th
off
to the
to?
29th.
Where are you going?
I'm going to the UK, then Athens, then Corfu, then back to the UK, then home.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. So,
Very nice.
yeah,
You're off to Sicily, you said, Melanie?
off to Sicily, Milan for just to stop over for 2 days. We managed to get opera tickets for the last day of the season.
Fabulous.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
super
In
excited.
Milan?
And then
In Milan?
at La Scala, and then 2 weeks in Sicily, which I've never been
Very
to.
nice. Very nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
I still have a flight credit for Italy that got canceled during COVID, so that I'm not using. I'm very flight credit rich.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I have like 400,000 miles on my Amex.
Yeah.
So just to warn you guys, last year I, went to Greece, Crete, and I did have a bad experience with my tickets. So now I just buy. We ended up having to buy business class. So that was like $3,000 we hadn't planned on spending. So now I just buy directly from the airline.
I always buy from the
Yeah,
airline.
yeah.
I've
And
been
with-
traveling for Habitat
with
to
with
do other
insurance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've never gotten trip insurance before, but this time we did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that was the one thing. So the conference. So some
Yeah.
people are going live.
Yep.
but-
But I do think there's value to what we're doing. And as I said, the sponsors seem to be willing to, attach their names to that. So that's where I'm going, at least this year.
I think that's really good advice. And I think telling people that when we circulate it, that
Yeah,
we're owning our space, which
Yep.
is to be a business convening. We're trying to keep it
Exactly.
convenient and yet relevant. And I
Yep.
think all of that's great.
well, along those lines, what you all were just talking about when you kind of get into the weeds with LIHTC and, windows and, converting to ownership versus rental, I think that would be a good conversation to have as a larger group. So once you get kind of the construct worked out, and figure out where we are. I think this would be a very beneficial conversation to have, particularly in another aspect, I guess, of what you're talking about, with land banks and land trusts too. Because when you're talking about houses that are built on land that's not attached to the house, that's a wrinkle too with LIHTC and, that whole thing. So
I was going to say that when Farshad, when you were talking, because of course we co-founded the Interborough Community Land Trust, which
Yep.
combats the 50-year affordability. Ours is 99 years.
Yep.
With, which is envisioned to be permanent, but the city got in the way. So, they had to put a term on it. So, yeah, so I think that would be great. I don't know when we will do that, but so can we revisit it in the fall?
yeah, I think that would be best, so if you wanted to.
We would benefit. So I think I'll put this as an email to the whole group, but the bank was slated to get 65 million in low-cost capital from Treasury as part of the stimulus. And because some banks opted out at the end, it looks like we're going to get close to $80 million.
Wow,
Wow.
and if we
That's
borrow
gonna
some
help
of
the
that money,
bank.
Yeah.
what is the
But
cost?
To get the
Melanie.
rate down, we have to do, I think it's 1.5 points, but maybe 2, but 2%. But to get the rate down every quarter, you have to show that you're doing deep impact lending. Of course, it's going to be different than the CDFI fund reporting.
Oh, Jesse,
But
yeah.
we get automatic points for buying or participating with CDFIs. That's
Yeah,
considered
Buying
automatically.
loans,
Yeah.
buying loans
this-
that we have on our
Yeah.
books.
Yeah, Melanie,
participating or
I
buying?
would be let's talk offline about that, because I think we have a really big pipeline of LIHTC deals and I can take the money at like a 4% interest rate even, and I'd be still okay.
Wow.
Wow,
I'm
that's
not-
a lot.
That's a lot.
Well, you better
That's
talk
fine.
to Farshad because I
Yeah.
don't want it at 4, but thanks.
Well, we're paying so little for this.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, I don't know
I
I'll
much.
take it
You
at
may be
lower too,
interested.
but I just want to
Melanie,
let you
you
know
may
that
be
we can try to-
interested.
if you give us the money, it's for us, it's really more about getting more capital so that we can do the deals, not so much the rate.
That's great.
I don't know what we'll put it out at, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and also Melanie, next week I'm gonna call you because we're reapplying for the IDA program for refugees. So, we're hoping to, work with Springbank on that.
Can I ask, this is on a completely different topic. We are hiring a loan officer. I'm going to say, I would like it to be somebody who hopefully is entry level. And we are getting our level setting on compensation is coming out way higher than I want it to. Does anybody have any wage categories they could share with me about from your comp budgets around kind of an entry level loan officer or a
Loan officer for what? For mortgages or for business loans? Or?
It's closer to business because it's entity to entity lending. We're not in the regulated space yet. We just did the application about six weeks ago. So we'll probably hear in a year and a half. I don't know. But yeah, so not mortgage origination. It's just strictly entity to
I'll get
entity
you
lending.
and you all know that starting in the next couple of months, you're going to have to post.
November, they announced this morning it's delayed. We have to post, sorry to talk over top of you. I've had a lot of coffee today. The compensation has to be posted with any position. It was supposed to be May 15th, but they just pushed back. So now it's November. You have to post with every position, the compensation range.
Did you share this on
I'm
the,
talking to Yankee about this a bunch of times as we ultimately did not find anybody. We're mixing it up with existing staff, but we put it up at 70, 75. It wasn't a loan officer, community development. I couldn't get anybody with any experience to take it at that salary.
You couldn't get anybody with any experience in community development at 75.
But that's not our loan officer, so I'll find out exactly. We just hired somebody, so I'll find out.
Yeah.
Leviticus
like
is looking
ballpark,
too, so if you could share this on the board level, then I'm sure Greg will weigh in as well.
So,
I will.
like, just go ahead, Jesse.
like we're doing we did a compensation
2 years ago, right before COVID, and we're doing another one because COVID definitely changed everything. But off the bat, I would say even like at an administrative level with no experience, we have to start at 50 already.
Yeah,
Start at what?
Yeah.
50,000.
we
Oh, yeah,
started,
so I didn't get any numbers like that.
Yeah.
We have a PEO, so I did the comp set and they're coming out at like 90, 95. So I'm like,
Mhm.
that's crazy.
No,
So-
so I know CDFI OFN released a compensation salary
Yeah.
for our CDFI level. We took that with other compensation studies to meld it together between like social services, nonprofits, CDFI. And then we come up with a range, and then there's a bottom range, middle range, top range.
Right. So we're
So-
still looking, I'm just asking you, this
Yeah,
isn't my sole
so-
source, I'm just asking you
Yeah.
guys for your.
So just to add to what Jesse said, and, Melanie and I, we've been talking about this. So we hired, what was administrative assistant for our Queen's office. And we hired at 55, anything lower than that. And the other thing that was very interesting, so for a loan officer, it has to be higher, even if it's, with limited experience. We did hire someone with experience at 85 with the thinking we'll test this person and then increase to 90.
I am so underpaid. I'm telling you, this is like,
Yeah. But this is someone who really performs. But the other thing that was very interesting for us, Karen, and I may have mentioned this to Melanie. So we have a retired HR person who helps us with our hiring. So initially we advertised for administrative assistant, and the caliber of people were really, we were like, and then she said, let me try something. And she changed the title to program assistant. Automatically we got much higher caliber of people, and we just hired someone who's actually really, we're very pleased. Yeah.
That's great. We've been doing, our focus on hiring has been diversity, right? So we tend to pull people that look like the people who are writing the job descriptions.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, which tend to look like me. But of the last, we've actually expanded in real estate and construction and a couple of other areas. And I would say, honestly, of the last 8 hires, more than 50% of are diverse, reflect some diversity. So we're getting there, but so we've really changed how we characterize our job descriptions and where we promote and how we ask it. And we reconsidered titling. Like you all, we're starting here and ending up squeaking up every, It doesn't matter what you publish. Like, even if you think you're publishing at the top of the range, it's like, it almost like this whole idea of publishing our comp rates, I think is just going to cost us money, because people are going to say, you think the range is 75 to 85, I want 90. That's kind of what we're getting from everybody.
So we've always, made it public. And, if it was up to me, I know I would get into trouble because I would always want to give, the top range. But I'm lucky because Barbara Ross, who helps us, she has a certain way of negotiating. And it may be like, okay, after 3 months, we'll go up to this or something. Yeah.
In the olden days, didn't we used to say, the way that you said it was, or the way that I was always told to say it in the olden days was, whatever your range is that's set for the position, I'd like to think with my experience and credentials that I would fall within the top end of your range or something like that. Was as far, that was how we got coached, right?
Yeah.
But you weren't allowed to ask if you asked how much, that almost put you out of the running in the olden days.
Yeah.
I know, like, because we can't pay top of the range salary for us, it's like our benefits are like crazy right now. Like, the problem with us is that everyone's hybrid. We have so many days for people to take off now. We have summer Fridays. We have like,
we're at 42 or 40 or 42 days a year now.
yeah, like we're near like the point where staff is like, it's hard to like figure out how to allocate work when staff is out so much. And
so interesting. My first job at a graduate school was for the Anti-Defamation
Excuse me.
League.
Bless you.
We got off Jewish holidays I had never heard of. And I grew up with parents who were, modestly observant. And then when a Jewish holiday came out on the weekend, you were like, Excuse me?
Damn.
What do you mean Yom Kippur's on Saturday? You know?
But you know, some of the benefits, Jesse, we are required by New York State because of the Family Leave and Disability Act. So, I mean, we don't have a choice.
No, I mean, like, we're
Yeah.
above and beyond, like, my staff don't even really pay health insurance anymore. We're covering almost 98.
Yeah, no, we've always had
So
that.
you're making up, you're saying you're making up for a somewhat lower compensation by giving a lot of benefits.
And that's including
Yeah.
family health insurance too,
Yeah.
right? So like, my staff is now all having babies. As soon as we change the.
We have that challenge right now. So
Right,
that's
as
the
soon as-
biggest challenge.
Yeah, as soon as
Paternity leave.
As soon as we change our HR benefit, everyone is popping out babies right now.
Really? I thought that would happen with ours, but that didn't happen.
I thought that was COVID.
That is
I don't
that's a COVID byproduct, right?
So can I take this opportunity, since we're kind of on the topic? I know you're all much larger organizations and I'm not as experienced in handling this, but you know, so you have all these programs.
You're
and all
too
this
modest, Giovanna,
and
let me tell you.
all this funding coming in. I have my CPA, I have an HR firm, you know, consultants, and we were working at this because my concern is like, yes, so we have the money now to hire these people and do the work. But then what happens after that if the funding stops coming in as much as it is now? So I am at this point where I'm like, I never had this before. And it's just nerve-wracking because I feel like I'm responsible.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? How do you
Yeah.
work around that?
So, I mean, this is my take, you know, we try and, like this, right now we're fundraising for next year, we have a plan. And, sometimes we've never been in a position where we've had to let people go. If people go off on their own, that's another matter. I mean, I think it just has to be managed. And if, you have less funding, maybe reducing the hours of few people, or I think the worst, if you have the opportunity, just, I had so much regret during the pandemic that I wasn't braver about expanding and about hiring more people and, really investing in the technology that we have. It really made me realize, we should have been much braver and, moved ahead.
I mean, Giovanna, same here, right? So what I've done is we're creating significant operating reserves because we know salaries are going to go up phenomenally, right? It's like my salary levels are just constantly every year. And my fringe benefits is like humongous now. So because of that delta, what I've done is taken a bad year versus a good year and find what that difference is. And then we've been building the reserve pool, and then not just letting it sit in the bank, but investing it to generate additional income, right? Because like, if you just sit it in the bank, and it's unrestricted, right? It's unrestricted money where you can think about utilizing the asset and investing it so it continues growing the reserve. So First Republic Bank has helped us devise a really good investment plan to think about how we use our reserves in the event that we lose all this funding. We still need to cover all our overhead and staff salaries. And I certainly don't want to lose staff and do layoffs.
It's so expensive training them, and when you invested,
You're so invested. The same with the salaries. It's like we start low and work our way up because unless you're hiring within the CDFI industry, there's training that
there's a lot of training. So key is hiring people, and sometimes we've made mistakes. We hired one guy who was from Capital One, loan officer, and then 2 months later he said, "Oh, I got another offer," you know. But getting back to what Jesse said, the CDFI awards that we get each year, we don't spend it. We just spend 15% and we relend it and it comes back. It's our equity. So we do have a solid reserve. We have about, 8 million that we keep using.
Can you say that again? The CDFI award you don't spend?
I mean, we use it to make loans and make money off it. but we're only using a portion of it, maybe 15% for administrative costs.
Yeah,
So we
That's
have all
what's-
this,
Isn't that what you're allowed to do, is 15?
yeah.
yeah, 15, and in certain years, like with the, I think we were told we're allowed to use 20% of the rapid response award, the 1.8 million. But all that money is also there. It's our equity, it's reserve. And so we know we
Yeah.
can draw down on that. But what I've always found is just moving ahead,
Yeah.
we've always been able to get the funding, and like the SBA, we know each year we can count on that money unless Russia attacks us or something.
Oh,
But
don't
Giovanna,
say that.
you should sit with a really good nonprofit finance manager,
Agreed.
a banker, a finance
Yeah.
banker.
Mhm.
I mean, I really lucked out with First Republic.
Yeah.
Bank.
Because we do have a reserve, but we're not investing it. Yeah.
You need to
Mhm.
think smart about not just, we're so used to just sitting it in the bank account.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. It's not doing anything.
It's not doing anything, right?
Yeah.
No, for years.
Technically, it could generate more income, more reserves for you,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and then the other thing is we're not large enough to have a CFO. We have a director of
No, we
finance,
don't.
but we found an excellent guy who's, who very helpful, and he loves our mission. So he's like a consultant CFO.
Mhm.
And the first year, which was like, I think 12 or 13 years ago when I met him, the first thing he said, Yankee, you need to start building a reserve.
Yeah.
So he gave me a lot of free advice.
Mhm.
So now we use him as our CFO consultant. We pay him on an hourly basis. And sometimes he does a lot of work for us for free because he really believes in our mission, and he's excellent at what he does.
But Yankee, I've
Same.
actually had someone says, Jesse, why do you need a grant when you have all this reserves? And I'm like,
It can work,
No,
work
but you-
against you. It
But
can-
we're using it to make loans.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so I'm like,
What about using, so for that Empire State grant, which I never assumed was going to, necessarily come around again, for our outreach for the e-bike loans, we used a consultant. And I wasn't going to hire somebody based on any of those funds. So.
Mhm.
We have a really, I mean, our CDFI.
We've also done that,
this will be our
Melanie, you're
second
right,
Full-time employee.
for like very specific things. And during the pandemic,
Mhm.
we rehired all our former interns because we had, vetted them, and we knew they could be trusted with financial information. And we teamed an intern with each loan officer so they could help them process the PPP loans. And Giovanna, we learned a lot during the pandemic. And now we're, trying to implement some of that in our, regular hiring, and
Yeah.
working on a strategic plan with someone who works with larger CDFI, someone who actually used to work with Leviticus,
Yeah.
Adina, yeah.
Oh, Adina, she's terrific. Yeah.
Yeah, so we realize you have to have sufficient support for the loan officers. So rethinking
Mm.
our personnel.
I have to go, folks.
This has been such a wide-ranging conversation. I have such enormous respect for all of you and for the way that you share your knowledge and your expertise. It does my heart good. I'm so happy to be engaged with this organization. Hi, Nancy. Welcome aboard. Everybody's just leaving.
Hi, I had a big conflict a few minutes ago, sorry.
All right, Karen, I'm sorry you have to bounce, but it was really good to see you.
And so I'll see you on the other side of Greece, folks.
Yeah, enjoy.
Yeah,
Safe
have a great
travels.
time.
Thank you. Take
Take
care.
care.
Everyone.
Travels.
Farshad, I
Bye.
might reach out to you before I go.
Bye, Nancy.
That was
Bye,
too
Nancy.
close, so-
Hi, I'll see you Monday, Yankee.
Okay.
I'll see you
Yeah,
then.
yes, Ian.
And you, Jesse. See you
Thank you.
soon.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks, everybody.
Jabaya.